I'm Leah Lawrence.
And I'm her husband, Mitch Lawrence.
And you are listening to the Southern Spirits Podcast, where I regale my husband with Southern stories of the macabre, the creepy, and the strange.
And I drink.
So what are you drinking tonight, Mitchell?
And I like that you said that. It is just me drinking. Leah's on antibiotics. She will not be drinking. So what I am drinking tonight is peanut butter jelly time Strawberry-Rhubarb brown ale. Proudly brewed by Catawba Valley Brewing Company in Morganton, North Carolina. 5.7% alcohol by volume. Let's read the online description, because not much on the cans, but they do have something to say on the website. So here we go. Remember when your mom packed a PB&J sandwich in your lunchbox? The flavors all melded into pure comfort food by noon. Well, we recreated the childhood goodness in a beer. This light brown ale is brewed from 5 different grains and then aged for weeks on raspberries and roasted peanuts. Take a sip, let the flavors mingle on your palate, and enjoy our PB&J in a glass.
Gross.
End quote. Yeah, Leah hates PB&J.
The whole thing just sounds nasty to me.
Yeah, she's a weirdo. She doesn't like peanut butter and jelly, like one of the only people in the world.
I'm sorry, it's not anything that my mother ever made because I don't think she liked it either. You know, it was just not something that I grew up with, and I just find the combination to be odd and sticky.
Well, it is sticky, that's for sure. About this beer, though, it is sticky if you get it on your hands, first of all, like most beers. But this beer smells amazing. It's very similar to the peanut butter and moonshine that we've had from Sugarlands. Moonshine that we've had from Sugarlands, in that it smells one way and tastes a different way.
Yeah.
So Leah tried it. It smells like the strawberry jam.
I didn't smell that.
Right. Leah has very fucked up senses of smell and taste at the moment. She doesn't have COVID again.
No, I don't have COVID again, but it's like a strep throat sinus infection combo that has just absolutely wiped me out. So if I have dude voice, I totally apologize, but like I'm still recovering.
So the beer smells like strawberry jam, and it smells amazing. Like it smells absolutely amazing. And then you take a sip, and it's got that brown ale flavor. It tastes completely different from how it smells, and it's kind of peanut buttery, really just kind of peanutty, not really peanut buttery, and more bitter and dark. And it doesn't taste as good as it smells, but it still tastes really good, if that makes sense. I love it.
When I tasted it, it tasted and smelled like beer. I didn't get any of what you just said. It just tasted like beer. It smelled like beer.
Palate. You and your fucked up palate.
Yeah, I still have smell loss from when we did have COVID too, so I don't know if I'll ever be able to smell things for real again, but who knows?
Overall, this gets a 9 out of 10. I love the beer. Just saying. If you can find it, go get it. It's worth it. It is a very good peanut butter and jelly flavored thing. And I also just love brown ale, so there you go. Our shot in the dark for tonight, for the third time, there we go. Because like we said, we're going to start using things 3 times now, is Tickle's Dynamite Cinnamon Moonshine, produced and bottled by Sugarlands Distilling Company, LLC in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, 35% alcohol by volume. If you'd like to hear the full review, go to episode 135, which is called Jesus Shot Glasses. It's a long time ago. And again, we did have it on a second time. I didn't bother to put that one in. Nobody cares. 10 out of 10. It's a fantastic cinnamon moonshine. Get it if you can. That is it for the alcohols, Leah. And what are we going to do now that we're back?
Well,
after a week break.
Sorry about the break, but, if you had tried to listen to me speak during that time, it was really, really bad.
So bad.
So I'm sorry about that. But we do have some listener mail.
Oh, shit.
And this listener mail was sent on March the 22nd of 2021.
There is a reason, y'all. We do check the mailbox regularly. But you're about to hear why it took since March. And the person who sent it already knows that it would have taken that long, so she's not upset.
No. But it's from Taru over in Finland. So thank you so much, Taru, for sending us the world's largest postcard I've ever had. And I'm just like, I love it. But look, watch. Yeah. If you're on YouTube, you're going to really enjoy what I'm doing right now.
If the video goes up this time.
If it goes up, maybe. Look at that. It's the biggest postcard ever.
So much postcard. She sent us a Ring notebook. Basically,
it's absolutely fantastic. See, and when I was in Prague, I bought like a big panoramic postcard of Prague, and I was like, oh, this is a really big postcard. That postcard ain't got nothing on this postcard.
You don't know what big
postcard
postcard means until
I love it so much.
This one.
Anyway,
It's huge.
so let's read the postcard.
You read the postcard.
It says, Dear Leah and Mitch, hope you enjoy this panoramic view of my soon-to-be former hometown.
Aw.
By April of 2021, I've moved house.
2 months ago now, almost.
Yeah. With your podcast and TikToks providing much-needed distraction from the nightmare that is moving. Thanks for the entertainment. Wishing you a lovely spring and looking forward to more Southern stories and sayings. All the best, Taru.
Well,
And it's a lovely watercolor of a town in Finland that I am not even going to try to say because I'm going to fuck it up. Absolutely.
Do it. Is it one of those with no vowels?
No. It's got an excess of vowels, I would say.
I'm thinking Welsh. Welsh has no vowels.
Yeah.
And Finnish, I don't know if Finnish is a
I don't know enough about Finnish to give any kind of...
It's not Dutch.
I'm just saying.
This is embarrassing.
Look, my grasp of languages that aren't English is very...
No, you've been doing Duolingo. We've been talking about it.
I've got some real basic elementary level Spanish under my belt, and I'm doing really well with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, any other languages that aren't Latin or English just kind of...
Excuse
me.
Yeah.
I was not good at languages in school, so I apologize.
Let's just say we're thankful that in Scandinavian areas of Europe, they are at least bilingual in most areas.
I was going to say, everybody else works so hard because Americans are lazy as shit.
Yeah, Americans are so lazy. I had to do a report on doing business in Germany for a class last semester, and found out that most Germans speak English fluently. Yeah. And they just also speak German. But it's also, if you watch the German, The Voice in Germany, they not only sing American songs and stuff, but because that's the most popular, I guess, but all of them also speak English to each other.
Yeah.
In a lot of instances, they flow in and out of German and English. And it's so fucking weird because I can't do that.
No. My high school used to have a lot of German foreign exchange students, and you couldn't tell the difference. They had a slight accent, but I mean, unless someone introduced you, hey, this is Hans, the German foreign exchange student. Yeah. You wouldn't have known.
We had some too.
Yeah.
One of them lived with one of my good friends. That's who he was stationed with, I guess. Foreign exchange student was, and he was one of my best friends for a little while there. Haven't talked to him in a long time.
Yeah.
I think he's back in Germany. Old Leon. Old Leon.
Man.
If you're listening.
But yeah. Americans are lazy when it comes to learning languages.
Taru, thank you for writing that in English.
Very much so. Because apparently I can't even handle the name of a town. So yeah, there we go. But to be fair, I can't handle the name of a lot of towns that we talk about either because we pronounce things crazy. So there you go. Yeah. All right. So are you ready for the sassy Southern saying of the evening?
Sure. Right. If you want to do it, let's do it.
Okay. The phrase this week is, I'm finer than a frog hair split 4 ways.
Oh, that's upsetting. That is not about looks. That's about I'm just doing okay. I'm happy. I'm content. Right?
I'm doing real good.
And if y'all didn't know, frogs have super fine hairs because they don't have any hairs. So that's
precisely. The point. It's I'm doing so well. I'm so fine that I'm as fine as a frog's hair split 4 ways. And if you split something that's non-existent 4 ways, it's real non-existent.
That's also called dividing by 0 and is not possible. Look, so what you just said would make a robot's head explode.
There you go.
Or Android, maybe. I don't know. Paradoxical thing.
I don't know. We watched that movie on Netflix. It was an animated cartoon about. It's called The Mitchells versus the Machines. Yeah, and it has a whole scene where a goofy-looking dog messes up all of these robots. So that's what that makes me feel.
It's so funny. It's
hilarious.
Dog, pig, loaf of bread. It's so funny.
It's a really, really cute movie. If y'all haven't seen it yet, it's really good.
The most popular thing on Netflix right now.
Yeah. So my guess is everybody's seen it already, but
it's awesome. The Mitchells versus the Monsters. Danny McBride is the dad.
The Mitchells versus the Machines.
Machines. Why do I keep saying monsters?
I don't know. Because it's robots. It's like a robot apocalypse, but adorable.
Yeah. It's if Alexa took over and just ruined everything. Yeah. So we got that to look forward to.
Indeed.
I'm excited.
Same. And just a heads up, the stories this week are probably going to be slightly shorter than normal, which is probably a good thing because our last few episodes have been like stupid long.
Yeah.
But my throat still kind of fucking hurts, so I'm going to try to like take it easy, do some chill stories. Might have to take a break in between, both for the camera to like not blow up and for my throat. So,
and we're going to go ahead and try to record a few like 3 or so episodes in the next few days because we're going out of town next week.
Yeah.
And we're going to have people staying at the house. So
we want to make sure that we don't miss another episode because apparently my body just decided to explode. I had a kidney stone and like a sinus strep throat situation at the same time. And it just...
Leah gets sick more than anybody I've ever met.
See, and like I spent all of last year doing... Other than the COVID, which I did get twice, but other than the COVID, like I didn't get really sick at all, hardly.
Because you were staying home.
Yeah, because I was staying home. But as soon as they put me back in that fucking office, man, apparently my body decides it's time to fall apart. So
everybody talks about the flu.
Sorry.
The flu cases were so far down this year. Yeah, because people didn't fucking go anywhere, y'all.
I also had the flu at the same time I had COVID, so never mind. I was sick as shit last year, too.
Yeah, for brief periods. But
for brief periods.
In a normal situation and circumstance, Leah gets sick all the time, and it's always really bad, too.
Yeah, it's a problem. I've had immune system issues since I was a kid, and I do have an autoimmune disorder.
You may have lupus.
Whatever.
Do you have lupus?
No, I don't have fucking lupus.
Well, if you've ever watched House, it's almost always considered lupus, but it's never lupus.
No, I have a thyroid autoimmune problem. That's it. But anyway.
House is how I discovered that lupus has symptoms of everything.
It's true. And I know someone that's got lupus, and for sure
she has all the
bizarre-ass symptoms.
She has all the symptoms. Every fucking symptom.
Yeah. There you go.
Oh, okay.
All right. So, are you ready to get into our very first story of the evening?
I think so. Let's do it.
Right.
Well, let me get a shot ready.
Okay.
For myself.
We are going to be talking about the Timothy Hill House on Chincoteague Island.
Okay, Chincoteague. Let me guess where that is. Chincoteague.
It's next to Assateague, if that helps.
Oh, it does. It does. It's also next to Dickateague, Taintateague. It's right next to all of them. Lower Backateague, Thiateague, Labiateague. All right, that's enough. I'm just going to say Georgia.
Short of Testateague?
It's going to have to be Georgia. No, Scrotateague. Is it Georgia?
It's Virginia.
Fucking shit. Okay.
Sorry.
All that work for nothing.
And I did actually have to look up a pronunciation of Chincoteague because it's spelled Cinco Teague. Teague. For those of you who don't know how to spell Teague. But Chincoteague is how the people on YouTube, now it might not be how you actually say it, but the pronunciation guide on YouTube said Chincoteague. So I'm going with that.
Thank Christ you told us about that process.
Look, I've had that sucker steer me wrong before, so I'm just going to caveat myself here and say, hey, I tried, because I have not tried in the past. But
Leah,
anyway.
Don't caveat yourself in public.
All right, well, so we're going to be talking about the Captain Timothy Hill House. So the Captain Timothy Hill House was built around 1800, and it was initially built on the east side of the island, and it's a tiny-ass house, y'all. It's 17 feet 4 inches on one side by 16 feet 4 inches on the other. So it's about the size of a dorm room.
Yeah.
That's a very small house.
That's a whole house?
The whole house.
Well, somebody lived there. It's not necessarily a whole house.
No,
right?
It's a whole house. But
Okay.
it's one of like 26 homes that were initially constructed in the settlement there. The settlement started out...
Was it one of those collapsible houses that we saw on Gadget Man?
No.
Y'all ever watch Gadget Man?
No, it was actually a clapboard, like a dovetailed log kind of situation, very rustic, very building a log cabin. And it's so rustic and weird looking. It's got some very colonial architecture that is very specific to the mid-Atlantic southern regions, which I didn't know, but they had a wooden chimney on it, which seems dangerous as shit, but apparently that's a thing. But it had a wooden chimney that was like lined on the inside with like clay or whatever to make it not flammable or something.
Okay.
Still seems dangerous to me, but whatever. It was a wooden chimney.
Speaking of, y'all, this is the second time we tried recording this because the first time the dogs went crazy. This is, like 15 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Dogs went crazy. Fire truck outside the house.
Just with its lights on, having a grand old time.
And they just drove off.
There was no fire. No one got out. It's just like...
Just sat there for about 3 minutes just to make our dogs bark. Like, I think they came... It was fucking conspiracy, Leah.
They know when we record.
Yeah. They know when we're awake.
Police officers with our neighbor, like that's
could happen.
It's possible and
also,
likely.
You see a fire truck, you think his meth lab is about to explode.
That's what I'm saying. Like we've only seen one fire truck on our road lately, and that was when like a down the street neighbor's house was actually legitimately on fire. So like I was a little concerned, but he just sort of drove away. Maybe it had the wrong street. I'm
going to go ahead and apologize for the tangent. Go ahead with the story. That's my fault.
Sorry, that was you. That was all you.
That's my fault.
Anyway, wooden chimney seems like a problem, but it's still standing, so I'm sure it's fine. And so most of the cabins in that time period were, log cabin-y kind of situations, real nice dovetail jointing. But it was, like I said, a real small, tiny-ass house. And by the time the 80s rolled around on Chincoteague, the land that the house was sitting on was sold. And the new owner showed up on the property and was like, what the fuck is this, like, shack sitting here on my property? Like, the fuck?
Okay. So the guy was living there or was not living there?
No one was living there at the time. So it was owned by the Hill family for a while, until it was sold.
I was going to say, they just have a mountain man living in their woods?
No. And we'll talk about the person it's named after shortly and sort of the reasons that it's haunted today.
Okay.
Sort of the more mainstream story behind it. But... so no one was living in it at the time. They purchased the property. This fucking house was on it, and they're like, all right, we're going to have someone, like, tear that thing down. Yeah. So the guy that they hired to actually tear it down, his name was Richard Vesley, and he was the builder hired to construct the new house. And so he sees this thing, and he's like, look, this is a historical, like, colonial situation. We don't want to, like, destroy a piece of history from the island, so how about we just move it to the other side of the island? So they did. They picked it up, they moved it to the west side of the island on North Main Street, and they just sort of sat it down there. And it sat there, and it sat there for about 30 years, just sitting there because no one wanted to tear it down, but also no one wanted to do anything with it. But eventually, the Hill House was purchased by new owners, like the house specifically, not the land, just the house, by Louisa Flanagan and Paul Brzezinski. That's how it's spelled. There are very few vowels in that last name.
I think that's the town Taru left.
No. That one started with an S.
Yeah. Sherpersky.
But spelled
that
similarly.
Was probably offensive. I didn't even look at how it was spelled. I don't know. Yeah.
At any rate, it was Paul and Louisa. They bought that house in December of 2009. And so they decided they wanted to use it as like a little cute storage shed kind of situation. They're like, oh, it's cute,
Cheryl?
Yeah.
It's funny.
She moved it in the backyard. Anyway, so
I wonder how many people remember that commercial.
Probably very few, but I don't know. So they bought this house intending to move it onto their property to use it as just sort of a little storage building on the property. But when they were getting it ready to move, a piece of like the clapboard siding fell off, and it revealed some of the original wood underneath. And they found a bunch of tiny carvings.
Dog's barking again.
Great.
Let's see what happens now.
They found a bunch of tiny carvings of ships underneath it. And they were like sort of colonial era ships. And they were like, this is weird. And they ended up, sort of calling in some actual historians. So there was the Colonial Williamsburg Foundation, the people that run that. They were brought in, a bunch of historians, people from the Virginia Historic, Department of Historic thingies. I don't know what that's called.
I know the Virginia Department of Historic thingies.
Those people, they showed up and they were like, Leah. Okay, we'll help you look into this. And the architectural historians end up looking over and realizing that this is like not really a good idea to like make it into a storage shed, because like it's a really important piece of history. It has original boards. It has original, carvings and graffiti from the era. It's a really cool thing. Let's not make it into a she shed, please. So they didn't. So they ended up finding that, all the interior log walls were intact. A little bit of damage to the sort of dovetailing joinery, but they brought in a bunch of restoration architects and restoration painters and masons and carpenters and stuff like that.
Oh my.
Yeah. Oh my. And they brought in like a historic paint conservator, because that's a job, which
really?
Sounds fun.
Can I do that?
No. You can barely tell the difference between colors, like
no,
normal colors.
No. I used to. It doesn't seem to be a problem anymore, but I used to have a problem with blue and purple.
Yeah.
It was a real problem.
You legitimately did not know the difference between blue and purple when we first started dating.
Everyone told me that throughout my entire life. And they would be like, no, that's the, whatever it was. It wasn't one that was always the other. It was both.
Yeah,
for me.
You couldn't tell the difference.
Could never tell the difference. I don't think I have that problem anymore. I haven't been told I have that problem in a while.
I think you've been doing better, but certain shades,
I'm getting there, y'all. I'm getting there.
The plummier colors of purple are harder for you to
distinguish. Dark. It's dark blue and dark purple for me. They really meld together. Mm-hmm. And I've never had problems with color. It's just those two things. The dark shades of both of those look very similar to me. So I'm sorry, everyone. I'm sorry. I apologize, Leah, for ruining your experience. I still want to be a paint conservator.
I don't think
just don't ask me to do dark purples and blues.
So shot in the dark.
Shit. Hold on. I got to find out. Okay. Here's what we're going to do, Leah. You ready? Mm-hmm. Here's your weapon to guess. Okay, this one should be easy, I think. I haven't listened to it, so. Oh. What is it?
Like a BB gun?
No. An automatic BB gun? What the fuck is wrong with you? Let's try it again. Okay, that, by the way.
That sounds awful.
Doesn't sound anything like it's supposed to sound, first of all.
What's it supposed to be?
It's a taser. It's not a taser.
I've legitimately seen someone be tased, and that is not what it sounds like.
Why have you seen someone be tased?
Because I used to work in retail, and people stole lots of merchandise, and they used to get tased.
Yeah, that's a great story. But anyway, didn't they pee themselves too?
Oh, yeah. A couple times.
Yeah.
A couple different people getting, tackled and tased. But like I said, that was none of my business. I stayed the fuck away from that nonsense because I'm not about to get tackled. That was not my job. But anyway.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so that does not sound like a taser. Anyway, shot in the dark. Mm-hmm. How many different colors of paint did they find on the front door during restoration?
Well, we know that the purples and blues are 1. So that counts as 1.
Was it A, 11, B, 21, or C, 31?
Ooh, I like the idea of 21. I'm going to say 21.
You're correct. There were 21 generations of paint colors on the front door.
All right, let me
and they still have sort of chips of them visible on the interior of the door, so you can just see what they all looked like.
Leah, I'm taking your shot.
Go ahead, because I can't. Sorry.
Correct. That's what I was getting at there. Okay.
All right.
They found 21 colors, huh?
They found 21 colors, but they also, on top of the initial graffiti ship carving that they also found an additional 38 ships. So for 39 ships along the bottom boards carved into the bottom of that house. And they're actually really cool little carvings. You can look it up on their website. It's the CaptainTimothyHillHouse.com. And you can see all of the different carvings of the ships and stuff like that. And you can still visit the property today. It's a really neat little I mean, it's really little. If you're on Chincoteague, though, go look at it because it's going to take you like 5 minutes.
If you find yourself shipwrecked, go check it out.
It's a very small...
it's on a long layover on my way to fucking New York.
Yeah, but speaking of shipwrecks...
Oh.
Nice segue there, Mitchell. Thank you for that. So the person that the Hill House is named for was originally Timothy Hill, and he was a Yankee sailor, and he ended up getting shipwrecked off Antigua, which is a neighboring island in the area, and eventually he was like, fuck it, might as well not go back.
I
and
agree.
he eventually ends up settling on Chincoteague in 1822, and he marries a lady named Rebecca Russell, and they had 6 kids, and I don't know where the fuck they put 6 kids in a house that's that small, but like, all right.
That's something I think about all the time. Like, for real, it's upsetting how often this enters my head when, older generations, like 1700s, when they lived in these tiny wooden houses and they had 6 kids that were all different ages. Like, what kind of trauma did those kids go through in this one-room shack? Seeing their parents just get carnal and smelling all that gross shit. We've talked about how gross sex is on the show before. It stinks. And there are children just like, well, I guess this is life now. It smells like ass in this room. Which it does anyway. But,
look, I mean, it's just something that it was a part of life at that point. I mean,
I know, but
it's been a part of life for most everybody. It's a very puritanical thing that anybody ever didn't have that happen, I'm
serious that at least once a week I think about families, big families in small little houses, and how they just didn't have electricity or plumbing or anything, and their parents were just fucking constantly. Like, when did you have time to jerk off?
It's humid as shit in Virginia.
Like, how bad did your little log cabin stink? 21 colors on the walls, 31 cents in my nose.
Oh, gross.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they had 6 kids in that small house, and eventually those kids grew up and etc. And I think they moved on and got like a bigger house or whatever.
Their own one-room shack.
They got their own, like a bigger house and all that. But anyway, so by the time 1885 rolls around, so there is the original dude, Timothy Hill's, one of his daughters and her family is living in that house. And she has a 13-year-old daughter. Her name is Virginia Jenny Hill. And she is, just a beautiful, lively young woman in the community. And a dude who is 20 years old, and that's creepy dude, named Tom Freeman, ends up deciding that she's the most beautiful girl on the island, and he wants to marry her. Now there are a couple of different ways this story is told. One story says that Jenny likes him too and she wants to get married, but the parents say no. But most everything else that I've seen, the most often told story is that she was like, dude, you're fucking 20 and I'm 13 and that's creepy, and absolutely
and also,
not.
Do you smell this house?
And she's like, no, I'm good, thanks, bro. And apparently,
like, this scent doesn't wash off. Like, this is with me forever.
Mitchell, hush. And so Tom apparently just decided that if he couldn't have Jenny, ain't nobody gonna have Jimmy.
Yeah.
Jenny, excuse me.
Jimmy.
So he took it upon himself to head out to the Freeman family's home, and not Freeman, that's his name. Excuse me. The Hill family's home.
Come on, Leah.
And he takes his pistol and he shoots the mother, Zipporah Hill.
Why?
And he shoots Jenny and
the 13-year-old.
The 13-year-old. And then he realizes, oh shit, I've just murdered 2 women. That's probably a bad idea.
No, murdered 1 woman and a girl.
Yeah, you're right. A woman and a child.
Thank you.
Who he was creepily creeping on. And he decides to kill himself as well. So it was a double murder suicide situation.
Silver lining. Mm-hmm. Silver lining. He needed to die.
Yeah. So that whole situation is the reason that a lot of people still believe that this little home is still haunted. Because
so that did happen. We know that
did happen.
Okay.
According to
it's not legend.
Local history, it happened.
Okay.
And, they still say that you can hear gunshots and feel spooky feelings in the house, cold spots, orbs, etc.
It's Virginia. You can hear gunshots.
You're right.
Period.
It might just be Virginia, guys. But most of the standard, ghost hunty things have happened there, and it's available, and like I said, it's really small. So if you want to take a tour, really short tour. So I don't know. Seems like a fun place to be.
They walk in and they're like, "Do you smell that,
Mitchell?
Let's leave."
But anyway.
They're pretty colors, but it all smells like butthole.
But really, it is a cute little house, and it's very interesting, and they've completely restored it, and they've actually even had to put in, because of that wooden chimney, they had to put in a separate, basically a second chimney that they've built inside of the original chimney so it can be operational, so it can be up to code. So they've kind of got a real chimney that's in the inside chimney that actually functions and will keep it from burning the house down. So
that's interesting.
Yeah, I thought that was an interesting
we put a chimney in your chimney.
Oh, so
Pimp
your
my
chimney doesn't chimney. Yeah.
Pimp my chimney.
So yeah, that's an interesting thing. But anyway, it is registered as a Virginia historical landmark, and if you want to tour it, you can tour it on Fridays from 1 to 3 p.m. So
it's only you have a 2-hour window to go on the tour. What the fuck? What?
Look, I think it's because of COVID restrictions, dude.
You sure?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I just
Friday,
like
1 to 3. Nobody can catch the vid. Come down.
Look, I really enjoy the carvings that they found on the original, boards and stuff like that. And you can.
But why? Yeah. Why do you have a 2-hour period on one day to take a tour? What else are they doing?
It's not a long tour. You're going to pay someone to sit their ass there for all week?
No. Nobody has to sit there, but you should be able to schedule it and then go out and then they go, here it is. Okay, let's leave. You don't have to do that on one day from 1 to 3.
Anyway, they have a website, CaptainTimothyHillhouse.com, which you can see all of the carvings, which I recommend looking at because they're really neat. They're a bunch of accurate vessels from the time period.
I feel like they would accommodate requests.
It's really cool. They probably
Can I come on Thursday?
They also have a Facebook page, so ask them, not me.
Look, my Monday sucks. Can I please come in for the 5-minute tour on Monday, please? Can y'all just make a special request? I'll give you $5, please.
Maybe. Anyway, so the sources for that information were, of course, the CaptainTimothyHillhouse.com and EasternShorePost.com.
Excuse me. I inhaled the beer instead of drinking it.
Yeah, maybe don't do that.
Well, that was fun. I actually really enjoyed that story. Because of how silly it is. It's a tiny little house.
It's just a tiny little historical house that's haunted. It's haunted as shit.
Yeah. Well, I enjoyed it. We're going to take a little break in between stories here. If you're listening on audio, you won't notice anything. But there's going to be a little jump cut in the video. So, are we ready for that break, Leah?
Yes.
All right. Well, y'all enjoy these words from our sponsors. We don't have any fucking sponsors.
Say, who the fuck did you get to sponsor this?
The fucking house. Come see a tour 1 to 3. We're gonna do a little skit, me and Leah, just come
not
see
a
this
sponsor.
House. We're gonna go out to our falling down shed in the backyard and be like, here's the house.
I think our shed's actually bigger than that house.
There we go. Perfect. We're it smells better too.
I don't know about that.
There's actually as many colors out there too, because the people who we bought it from, left paint out there.
Yeah.
So we've got paint. But anyway, we'll be right back for story 2, y'all. Thank you for listening and watching, whatever we're doing.
We're not exiting here.
Bye. And we're back. That was one of my favorite things from Jimmy Fallon on Saturday Night Live. Did you ever see that? He had a radio show. It's a whole thing. I'm not going to explain it. Just look it up on YouTube, everybody else. Leah, I'll show you later. I
don't care that much.
I'll show you later. It's very funny.
I know you will, and it's going to be awful.
I can't wait. He was a
your
shitty
clip
DJ.
Shows, man.
What?
I said, you and your clip shows, man.
I love clips. clips. That's the best thing about YouTube. Is clips, not shitty fake documentaries about how COVID and the government are bullshit. No. It's about clips. Good clips, like funny compilations from podcasts and, funny Good Mythical Morning compilations. That's what YouTube's for. And that's the way that I use it. Okay, go ahead, Leah.
All right, so that's what I live with. Glad you guys have
so that's my life.
Got a window into what we watch every night against my will.
Especially after we record and I've been drinking. God. That's all I want to watch.
And he's really bad about just like not asking what I want to watch, just putting on clip shows. I don't like clip shows.
That's not accurate. It's not clip shows. It's clip compilations.
I hate that. Anyway, it drives me nuts watching things out of context.
One of my favorite things is the Your Mom's House TikTok compilations. Because Christina on there goes on TikTok and does some of the worst.
A mean woman.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I don't understand.
They're not mean, Leah. They're funny people, and you just don't get it.
No,
that's all that there is to it.
I get the joke, but like she's a genuinely mean-spirited person when she's talking about some of that stuff. I just don't understand.
Anyway,
I don't think mean things are funny for the most part.
Well, who calls them mean? You call them mean. Nobody else calls them mean.
She's a very mean lady. I would not want to have her see my TikToks because she would rip me apart.
No, she wouldn't. No. She doesn't do like the normal side of TikTok. You know what I mean? I get it. It's all mentally ill or problematic people.
Or mentally challenged people, which is something that I find very problematic.
Sometimes, yes, that is.
It is not okay.
And I'm like you. I don't care for those because for the most part, those people are just enjoying themselves and have found a community.
Exactly, right? Which is why I don't think I'm not going to get into this. I'm
not going to get into this. Second story, please.
I'm just saying.
One of us is going to do something we shouldn't do, is all I'm saying. Let's move on. Move on. I'm not saying it wouldn't be me. I'm saying that one of us is going to fuck up. Let's move on. Because I've already had almost 3 whole peanut butter jelly times and a shot of cinnamon whiskey.
Well, I'm half a caffeine-free cinnamon hibiscus tea in, so...
Yeah, Leah's got her tea working.
Yeah.
No CBD powder in it, though. That's upsetting.
No. I would like to not be asleep before the end of this, so...
THC Free Cbd, y'all. Holy shit, that stuff's amazing. Like, how's there no THC in that?
There's just not.
It's fantastic.
I use a powder called Caliper that you mix into like beverages.
Caliper, reach out if you got any money.
Seriously, like I found them by a sponsorship on a different podcast.
Oh, did you? I didn't know that.
I did.
Oh, okay.
And it's really good shit, and you can't taste it, and it helps me go to sleep when my insomnia and my anxiety is really bad. So
I tried some for the first time the other night, and I felt a little bit like okay, for just to get it out there, because we've talked about it before, weed doesn't make me sleepy. It never has. But this THC-free stuff gives me the exact same feeling of just like giggly, I want to watch clip shows on YouTube. Gives me the exact same feeling.
And it makes me less irritated about you watching clip shows.
Yeah, it does. You get much, much more tame. So much easier to control you at that point. Yeah,
I'm super chill when I've had a CBD powder. So
it's so nice. Second story?
Yeah, all right. Okay. So enough about our personal lives. Let's talk about a legendary pirate from the Florida Keys.
Somebody else's personal life.
Yeah.
Okay.
A few somebody else's, depending on what you believe. Anyway, we're talking about the legend of Black Caesar.
Oh. This sounds racist.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
It definitely is.
All right.
Okay, so
it's just Caesar dressing with charred sardines instead of just fresh.
It's not. It's a black pirate.
Okay, that's upsetting.
Yeah. So, there's a lot of weirdness surrounding the legend of Black Caesar because they think that some people think it's just this one dude.
I was gonna say, who's they?
Historians.
Okay.
Some people think that it is one dude and like people just sort of told tales about him and sort of over embellished the things that he did. Some people believe it was more of a kind of a Dread Pirate Roberts situation where different people used that. Huh?
Don't know what that means?
You've never watched Princess Bride with me, have you?
Maybe once, but like I was on my phone. I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, because you suck. Anyway.
I was watching clip shows on my phone.
Damn. And you think he's kidding, but he's not.
I don't normally watch things while we're watching something, but I do play things.
Which is one of the worst things that you do. But it's fun.
Look at Reddit.
It's fun.
You know. How's that one of the worst things that I do? I will remind you of the things that happen in the bathroom.
Gross.
Leah.
I'm just saying the Dread Pirate Roberts in The Princess Bride, for those of you who aren't aware and are culturally stuck under a rock, the Dread Pirate Roberts in that is a title that people pass down, and they keep acting like they were the same Dread Pirate Roberts. But
like James Bond?
Yeah, exactly. But it's a title that keeps getting passed down, and the legend grows, you know? Huh?
It's one of my favorite fan theories out there is that not only is the 007 name or designation just something that MI6 owns, but also the name James Bond is something that MI6 owns, and that's why that agent keeps changing.
Okay.
It's interesting. It's interesting.
Cool.
So like James Bond equals Dread Pilot Roberts.
Pirate.
Crash landed.
Pirate.
Okay.
That made no sense, but cool. But yeah, some people also just think, like I said, that it is someone passing this title down to an apprentice kind of situation. And other people think that white people don't understand that there can be more than one black pirate, so that they just called all of the black pirates that they saw after the first one Black Caesar.
I would find it highly unlikely that there was more than one black pirate.
There was actually several black pirates, but this particular one they called Black Caesar, or they just called all the black pirates that they knew of Black Caesar because it was easier.
It's like mass shootings. It just seems like a white guy thing. I don't think that there were many black pirates.
No, there actually were.
Okay.
Yeah, well, it is legitimate.
And they weren't forced into it. Like, I know there are now, like, Somalia and stuff like that, but, like, you know, back when, like, pirating was a thing, I don't believe. This seems like more of a white guy thing. That's all I'm saying.
A lot of the big names were, but there were not
the
white
names.
guy ones.
The big names.
Well, I mean, like Blackbeard and
it's just funny to think
that kind of stuff. Yeah, they were all just grumpy old white dudes, but
the Elvis pirates who stole all the good things they knew from the black pirates.
Okay, so we're going to talk about two different sort of eras of the Black Caesar mythology.
I made myself laugh.
Because there's generally two different specific stories and like arcs of stories that go along with the title Black Caesar, and that leads people to believe that it was indeed just two separate people that both either used the name or just white folks only knew the one black pirate, so they just called the other dude that too.
Yeah.
Which is probably where I think it actually, I think that's more along the lines of what was probably the case.
White people have a long history with racism, you know, just seeing someone and being like, Black Caesar. It's that guy.
Yeah, I remember
like,
you. You the same guy? No, not at all.
Dude,
but anyway.
That's not my name. I just happen to have on a pirate hat and have more melanin than you.
Yeah, well.
Black Caesar.
Yeah.
I know you're Black Caesar.
Yeah.
Are you
same
Haiti?
Dude? Gotta be. Anyway, so we're starting out with the older story. And so this Black Caesar ends up sort of being captured and killed in the early 1700s. So, I mean, by the mid 1700s, there's an inlet in the Florida Keys called Black Caesar's Creek, and it starts showing up on British maps of the area in the mid 1700s. So, like,
so they knew not to go down there. Is what you're saying?
At least they know that this story predates that.
Yeah.
And it's just south of Elliott Key in Biscayne National Park.
Was it kind of a warning? Like, this is showing up because if you go down here, you're going to run into Black Caesar and you're going to lose all your shit. Like
no,
that kind of
it was
thing?
just what the name of the creek was.
Okay.
They just named things on maps because they have names.
Yeah. Well, I just know British people to name things very strangely, and so Black Caesar seems like one that stands out.
No, that's just the name of the creek. But anyway, so the story of this particular Caesar is that he, and once again, this is all set down by, people from the 1700s that were white and rich and could write things down and generally own slaves. So just, bear that in mind.
You're about to say some shit you shouldn't say, aren't you?
I'm not going to say anything that's racist. I'm just saying that their viewpoint definitely colored the air around this dude. The ambiance, I suppose, of this story.
His je ne sais quoi.
Yeah, something like that. Some French
I don't even know
shit.
what that word means. Or that group of words. Phrase? That's a phrase, right?
It's a phrase. It's a sassy French saying.
Stop it. Leah, stop it. You have gone too far.
Indeed. So yeah, the story is that the original Black Caesar was of course a prince in Africa, like a tribal leader of some sort.
Nigeria, and he needs all of your money.
He might need all of your money. But apparently he was a tribal African chieftain or prince or something like that, depending on, which story was told about him. Yeah. But he was just massive. That's like physically he was an enormous man with huge muscles. He was ripped like Arnold Schwarzenegger Terminator, kind of like just a big dude.
I'm into it.
And apparently he was lured on board a slaving ship, just saying, hey, we're going to trade goods. And he got on board the ship, and instead of trading goods, they took his goods and they enslaved him. So that's not great.
So kind of like 12 Years a Slave?
Yeah.
That whole thing?
Yeah. Very similar, which those stories were pretty common because that's how they got people into it. So he was really freaked out and kind of surprised when he was taken prisoner because he thought he was there to trade goods as an actual, important person, and it didn't work out for him. So they ended up, chaining him down in the hull of the ship, and I'm sure everybody has seen that picture in the history books where it's the slave ship etchings and stuff like that, and oh shit, that's awful. But anyway, so he actually ended up making sort of a friendship with one of the ship's first mates, or with the ship's first mate, and the ship's first mate kind of liked him and thought he was cooler than the rest of the people they were enslaving.
Oh,
which
that's
seems
nice.
Weird.
All these other guys are just full on slaves, but you're just, cool.
Yeah,
you're kind of cool. You take it in stride. You got cool hair.
God, white people.
You talk cool.
But anyway,
cool
so
guy.
he gave him a little bit of extra food and drink as the middle passage, situation happened. And apparently they developed as close of a bond as you can with a person that's enslaving you. But, hey, they just sort of had a little friendship going along. But the vessel ends up hitting a really, really bad storm off the coast of Florida. And the mate ends up rescuing Caesar, unshackling him because he doesn't want that guy to get
he loved him.
Drowned with the ship. And apparently the two men were the only survivors of this sinking, and they end up washing up.
Christ.
Yeah, they end up washing up on the island that ends up becoming known as Black Caesar's Rock. And you can still visit it's an inlet island, a channel island there in Florida. And that ends up becoming sort of their base of operations. Because realistically, either, if he tries to get back to Africa, he's just going to get back in enslavement. That's not a situation. They don't have a vessel that they can
you're not going to make it back.
Yeah, he's not getting back to Africa. If he goes back inland, he's going to be enslaved. So there's not a lot of options for them at this point. So they turn to piracy because yeah, why not?
Yeah, I do the same.
So anyway, they end up being there, and they set up a base of operations on Black Caesar's Rock. It's sort of hidden in like a mangrove grove of trees, so they can see out and see sort of the shipping lanes that are passing in front of that little inlet, but the people that are passing can't see them, so it kind of gives them sort of the perfect cover to sort of pounce on unsuspecting shipping vessels that they can, commandeer and steal shit from. And then, he would just sort of disappear back into the mangrove trees and nobody knew, so he pounced on a lot of unsuspecting, people. And so he, prospered pretty well with this first mate dude that they were friends, I guess, and pirate bros, until... Pirate Bros.
Yeah. I was in a band called Pirate Bros.
Until they started getting into a fight over a female prisoner.
Oh, no.
Each dude wanted her, and Caesar had a gun and killed the other dude. So,
well, good on him, though. At least the white guy didn't fucking make it.
Well, this dude was not a good dude.
The Black Caesar guy?
Yeah.
I mean, I understand, but still, like, you've had your chances.
But, like, he took the lady, and after he was done with her, he killed her, too. So, like, this is not a good dude.
Okay, well.
And it said that this...
There's egg on my face.
Yeah. He was supposed to be, like, one of the most brutal pirates that was there. He especially enjoyed, like, torturing people. Which, I get the aggression, but, like... Maybe we don't torture people. I don't know. But apparently his favorite thing to do, like, torture-wise, was to... so, like I said, he had his base of operation on this sort of channel island there. And he would take... he had rings, like iron rings, set into the stone there, sort of at the tide, and he would shackle people.
Up, yeah.
He would shackle people there at low tide, and he would let them get sunburnt and mosquito bit and like the salt water on their burns and shit like that, and just yeah. So like people just died really slow, shitty, awful deaths in the Florida sun. Which is not great.
And you're already in Florida. Like, nothing's going right.
Exactly. It's already Florida. It's not great. And there's alligators and shit. So, yeah, it could be a problem. And so they say that particular place, that rock, is very haunted still today. People do, like, EVP things on that island. And you're supposed to be able to hear sort of the wails of his torture victims. And, there's supposed to be orbs and stuff like that. Just a real uneasy feeling around that particular area. Because, a lot of people were tortured to death on it. So that's not great. But apparently that version of Black Caesar was said to have ended up hooking up with Blackbeard.
Oh.
And they started pillaging around. And like... Eventually they got caught, and apparently he got hung.
Black Caesar?
Yes.
Okay.
Apparently he was hung in Virginia, but like I said, the story is really meandering and not really solid, so what actually happened to him is just really unknown at this point. Yeah. Because like a lot of history that has to deal with not rich white people, they don't really record the names of any people of color or anything like that. So
we've talked about that many times with other stories. So
usually it's like so and so 6 people died, and they'll only name like the white people. So like I said, it's very difficult for historians to really follow a lot of what actually happened, because sometimes when people were executed, if they weren't like white men, the names might not have been recorded as to what happened, so the records really go kind of pale on that one, so you're not really sure exactly what happened. But the legend is that he hooked up with Blackbeard and eventually ended up getting, hung by the government.
And somebody else took on the name, though.
Yeah. So, or was misidentified as, because they were also black.
Right.
So the other...
I was testing you.
Yeah.
I'm glad you passed.
Yeah. So the other, and most people would say more noble, maybe, version of this particular character was a different Black Caesar. So he was actually born on a Caribbean island, so shot in the dark.
Okay, let me see. Which one did I want to choose? Oh, goodness, we got to get this right, Leah. I'm just trying to think of one that you haven't done yet. Let's see. Okay, here's this one. This is going to be interesting. Remember, it's just any weapon, okay?
Any
Ready?
weapon.
Here we go. What could that possibly be?
Like a brick going through a window?
Nope. But you can try again. You ready? Think about the slide sound first instead of after. So, hold on. Like what you thought was a window breaking, that's first. No? You don't want to try again?
No.
Everyone out there, play with yourselves. See if you can get this one right.
What is it?
It's a guillotine.
Oh. Okay, I can see that.
It's the slide.
It makes more sense in context. Okay. So shot in the dark.
Okay.
Which Caribbean island was the second version of Black Caesar born on? Was it A, Haiti, B, Aruba, or C, Trinidad?
Oh. I only want to say it because I've met someone from there. But it was actually Trinidad and Tobago, so I'm going to say Trinidad.
No, it was Haiti. Well, technically it was Saint Domingue, but it was renamed Haiti in 1804. So, it's what's modern day Haiti. So this particular story claims that there was a man named Henri Caesar. Anyway, he was born in 1767, and he was born into slavery on the Arnaud plantation in Haiti. And he was, working in the house as a young child, but he grew up to be really large and muscular and just real buff. And so eventually they put him to work as like a slave in a lumber yard, like a milling yard. And so for a long time, he worked in the milling yard and got even bigger muscles, doing very, very hard physical labor in a milling shop. But if anybody remembers world history, Henri Toussaint led a slave revolt in, the French. It was a French colony at the time.
Hey, how amazing that I had the guillotine.
Yeah.
For
great.
A French thing.
Pretty great.
I had no idea.
Yeah. So Henri Toussaint led that slave revolt in Haiti in 1794. So eventually he got freedom. Yeah, because, they all revolted.
Because he took freedom. He didn't get freedom.
You're correct. I mean, it was really savage. But
just like us with these mask mandates, we got to take freedom, Leah.
Lord Mitchell.
We can't wait to be given.
People are going to think you're serious if you keep talking like that.
I would hope if people are listening to this show, they know that I'm not serious. Mm-hmm. Although I did, it is Alabama, so let's understand that first of all. But I did not wear a mask in Walmart the other day.
It feels weird.
It does feel weird, but I was also like, I can smell things.
See, I can't smell anyway, so it's not a big deal for me. I just like the plausible deniability of not having to say hello to everybody that I might notice. And you don't really have that problem because you don't know very many people here. Well, but I went to school with all these fucking people and they were my teachers and shit. And I would really like to just get in and out of a store and not have people recognize me, or at least have that plausible deniability of, oh, I didn't recognize you because you don't have a mask on. Or they can just not say, oh, it's that extra layer of please don't fucking talk to me that I love.
Yeah, I do like that too, because I do find myself in the office when I have to pass someone still doing the white person smile behind my mouth of biting my bottom lip hey, and I'm moving on I smiled at you, good morning. I guess.
I try to smile with my eyes, but I just look crazy, so I'm just it's moved into more of a nod. The
good part is I don't really talk to people in my office, so they know that I'm quote unquote quiet anyway.
Oh,
so
yeah,
they don't expect me to say anything.
Everybody in my office thinks I'm mute, I'm pretty sure, until, like, they need me to yell at someone for them. Not yell, don't get me wrong. I'm not like...
You're an awful person.
I'm not. But I mean, like, if I will not be pushed around when it comes to...
Mask mandates.
Administrative things.
Oh, okay. I thought Leah was going full Q.
Yeah, like I said, most of them think that I don't talk ever, and that's fine. I don't like those people. Well, I don't like some of those people. Some of them are very nice people.
Yeah.
But the rest of them...
Where are we in the story?
I have no idea. Anyway, the Haitian Revolution of 1794. So Caesar ends up a free man, and along with his fellow slaves, they all murdered the Arnaud family, and they ended up tying their overseer between two boards and using the big saw that they used to mill the logs and sawed him in two.
Oh, fucking ass.
Like, they took revenge like a motherfucker. So that put him sort of in trouble with the law there. So he and the rest of the group of slaves that he, committed those murders with fled into the jungle. And for the next 9 or 10 years, they ended up surviving just by attacking French troops and ambushing little villages and stuff like that and stealing shit. But around 1805, he ends up seeing like a Spanish merchant ship sort of parked offshore, and he was like, hey, there ain't nobody on that boat. If we can get out to that boat, we can have that boat. That'll be our boat.
Yeah.
And
there's
so
got to be goods on it. It's a merchant boat. There's got to be something in there.
Yeah, so they ended up basically commandeering this ship with a few crew members on board, and they treated the crew, the Spanish crew, really well until they had learned how to steer the ship themselves. And then he murdered all of the Spanish crew because who needs those guys around, right?
I mean,
yeah.
Can I say I agree? Without being racist? In the time frame, who needs the Spanish at that point?
Well, they were the main,
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. They were the main,
they were privateering against each other. The British and the Spanish both had,
That's what I'm saying.
Court-appointed pirates,
Yeah, both of them were just taking over the world at that point. What's the problem with killing a few fucking Spanish people in the 1700s?
Yeah.
Or whenever this was, the 1700s?
17 into early 1800s.
There we go.
Good one. But by the end of the War of 1812, though, the British and United States had both had shit tons of gunboats around the area that they were in, and they were like, maybe it's time to go back to the Florida Gulf, the Keys. So they sort of went into that area, and they end up meeting a more famous pirate called Gasparilla, or he's Spanish, so Gasparilla, I'm sure.
Isn't that a drink?
That's a sarsaparilla. Anyway, he tried to join up with Gasparilla.
Didn't we have one of those at the whiskey shop in Chattanooga?
No.
A Gasparilla?
No.
What am I thinking?
Sarsaparilla.
Okay.
Anyway,
whatever.
But the Spanish pirate dude was like, you're a little too bloodthirsty and terrifying to hang out with me and my crew, but how about you go set up your situation on this other area, which is where they call the Black Caesar's Rock.
Okay.
So he ends up settling there, and apparently he ends up being loosely associated with that other pirate, sort of letting them know, hey, people are in the area, just sort of an outpost, but not actually getting along with that pirate, because he was, like I said, known to be very, very brutal to any white people that were.
Hey.
Yeah,
if it's the same guy. With reason. And I'm not, that's just a thing. He would also apparently, they said of that guy that no white people that he ever pirated ever survived it. He would specifically take over slave ships and kill all the white people on board and just free all of the
the slaves and stuff like that. So he was a bloodthirsty, ruthless dude, but also like he had been treated. I was gonna say, but like, you know, the morality is gray there. But yeah, so it's very unclear, once again, what happened to this guy. Some people think he sort of just sailed off into the Gulf of Mexico and, like, went to live a badass piratey life and, like, retired on all of his booty. Some people say...
God, I wish I could retire on all my booty.
Yeah. Some people say that he was just killed by someone on a vessel when he boarded, you know, another ship to take it over. And some people say that he left that area and ended up going to Australia to, like, spend all of his money and shit. So I don't know.
What was there to buy in Australia at the time?
I don't fucking know. It was
Australia
a slave colony.
wasn't
not
civilized.
Slave, excuse me, a prisoner colony.
Yeah, Australia wasn't civilized at the time.
Yeah, but I mean, like, nobody was after him, so I don't know.
This was a bullshit conspiracy theory, though.
It's not a conspiracy theory. It's just what people think might have happened.
A theory. Excuse me. It's bullshit.
But anyway...
There's nothing to buy in Australia. There's just prisoners.
I'm just telling you what I know, which is not a lot. But they also say the legend in the area is that he also buried a bunch of silver bullion treasure, about $18 million worth of silver bullion.
In what time frames amount of money?
His time frames amount of money, so a shit ton.
Like
an actual shit ton.
$17 trillion, right?
And to be actually fair, I don't know if that's the actual conversion rate because trillion seems to be a bit much. But like, I mean, yeah, it's a lot of money.
That seems right to me.
I mean, you're the one that's better at math than I am. But
yeah, that's a math thing.
I mean, conversion rates are math.
I mean, I guess, but you know,
I'm just saying it was a lot of silver. And it may or may not be hidden somewhere on or near Black Caesar's Rock in Florida. Maybe.
Is it there right now?
Well, I mean,
anybody look for it?
Yeah, so lots of people have looked for it. And there's also like sort of a like local story around it saying that there was a dude that was living in Key West. He was living there around 1890, and he decided he wanted to try to start like a pineapple farm on Elliott Key. And so he tilled the soil for a while, and after just a few days of tilling and not even like getting to the planting of the pineapple situation, like he was just tilling the soil, after a few days of doing that,
so bad, I want a pineapple farm.
After a few days of tilling his soil, he ends up disappearing and coming back a little while later to Key West as the owner of a beautiful ship called the Hollyhock, which he had purchased in Cuba. And nobody knew how this poor dude ended up buying this big old fancy boat. And he ended up building and like a fleet of like trading ships and stuff from that one ship instead of becoming a pineapple plantation person. So...
Well, I will say,
it's suspected. Some people think that he found all of the silver, didn't tell a soul, and was like, "I'm gonna take all this shit
and buy a pineapple farm."
Buy a boat.
Well,
he was starting the pineapple farm because he was poor.
Like, I want a pineapple farm, but I want somebody else to work the pineapple farm.
That is the problem with farms.
Bring me the pineapple, because I know that pineapple bushes don't grow that many pineapples, so you're gonna have like a shitload of pineapple bushes.
You do. I think it's only like one pineapple every year, right?
Yeah. So you gotta have a giant fucking pineapple farm, and I'm not going out there to pick the fucking pineapples.
It might be more than that, but it's very few pineapples per plant, and it takes a while for them to grow.
So like, I need someone to pick the pineapples for me, and just like also cut them open, spiral cut it, bring it to me. Is that so much to ask?
Yes.
Well, fuck that then. Like, how much pineapple do you need to be like, this is enough for me, sell the rest? Because it's like, it's over 100 for me, pineapples. Individual pineapples.
I love pineapple, but it gives me heartburn, so I've got to be careful about when and how I eat pineapple.
Excellent point. Someone else harvest and pick and bring me the omeprazole as well.
You need an omeprazole farm to go along with your pineapple farm?
Yes. Excellent point. Also a grape farm for Pinot Noir grapes, make wine. All of that gives me heartburn, and as long as there's a omeprazole, we're good to go. As long as someone's bringing it to me and feeding it to me. Just okay, never mind. Go ahead.
You've seen Wall-E with the floating chairs and all that, right?
Yeah, that's
where you're headed.
That's literally exactly what I'm talking about. How have we not gotten there? Y'all, we are so close. We are so close to having robots do everything and just having the screen affixed to our heads and not moving ever. I want it so badly. You have no idea. We already have a robot that vacuums. We have a robot that cleans out the cat shit. We have everything. We're ready to go. As we've said before, though, we just need a laundry folding robot.
That's the one I'm waiting for.
I don't think we would need anything else.
No. Make my life. Anyway.
Make it happen.
So yeah, that's the story. Is they think that some dude may have found it, but other people still think that it's buried out there, and still other people think that it was never a thing to begin with. So some people do still look for the treasure out there in that little area on the island of Caesars. In Caesars Creek, but it's supposedly super duper fucking haunted as well. So, due to all of the torture and shit. So, it could be 1, 2, 3 multiple pirates of the same name.
Excuse me.
Maybe no pirates of that name. Who knows? It's a legend. It's steeped in lore and piratey things.
Yeah, and, booty mostly.
Lots of booty.
Steeped in booty.
And there might be millions of dollars worth of silver buried somewhere out there. Or maybe the gators already got it. I don't know. It's Florida.
Do gators eat treasure?
Maybe. Probably not. But meth addicts probably do. So
groups. I don't think so. You got your oats, your grains, your proteins, your treasure. I don't think that's one of them.
It could be.
Iron. Iron's part of it. Yeah, you're right. I was wrong. You're right.
Or like the marshmallow treasures, the cheap ass post or Malta meal, maybe the version of Lucky Charms.
Oh God, those are so bad.
Those aren't good.
Oh, there are some generic brands that are really good, like the Cinnamon Toast Crunch things.
Yeah, the generic Cinnamon Toast Crunch is excellent.
Like they're not as crispy, like they're fluffy.
Yeah.
And they're not the same thing at all, but they taste way better.
Yeah.
The Frosted Flakes, you just sugar on brand. Like, it's all the same thing.
Yeah.
And why would you not just pay less for more?
But Marshmallow Mateys are not good.
Are they not?
Mm-mm.
That's not the... now, the generic Captain Crunch is good.
Mm-hmm. It's good, too.
Yeah.
Anyway. Pirate-themed cereals, what are you going to do?
Pirate-themed cereals. I was in that band.
Yeah.
I was.
But anyway, those were all of my stories for the day. And you can find more information about the information that I found on Wikipedia, thesunsentinel.com, and morehistoryonline.com, which seems a little...
Morehistoryonline.com is a website?
Warhistoryonline.com, which, once again, why do you need the online with the .com? Anyway... People know it's online, guys.
Yeah.
It's the internet, but fine.
Because I would bet you warhistory.com is one of those like gore sites that aren't good.
I don't know.
Don't go to that
this
one.
is just a story about like naval battles and shit, so it's pretty interesting.
Naval battles. How exciting.
Yeah.
I do enjoy hearing about those. Like, did you ever listen to Hardcore History with Dan Carlin?
I tried, and I find that man's voice...
Yeah. It's like it puts you to sleep.
Yeah.
Like it's his voice is so...
It's better than like NyQuil.
Like, I don't even know if soothing is the word. Like, it's just it's a trance-like thing.
It's
right?
just like you start listening and then you wake up like 10 minutes later like...
Yeah.
Did I just... Right. And I have no idea. And I could never... absorb the information that he was saying, and it's all, I'm sure, great information, but I could never absorb it because it's like, have you ever read like the same paragraph in a book over and over and over again, and you just can't get past of it?
Like since I'm in school right now, that's all my textbooks are. It takes me way too long to read a fucking chapter in a textbook.
See, and I generally don't have that problem, but if I do find myself having that problem with a book, it's going to be a book that I'm not going to finish because, like, I just can't absorb that certain style or whatever. And for me, his voice just sends me into a weird blackout for 10 minutes, and then I come back and I'm like, oh shit, I didn't understand the last 10 minutes of what he said. I got to go back. And I tried to listen to it and I just couldn't.
Well, my point in telling you that, in bringing that up, is because hardcore history, the first part of it is about World War I. And I was like, oh, interesting. I get to hear about World War I, and each episode's, Leah's coughing at the moment. And each episode's 3.5 hours long. So I'm like, oh, there's a bunch of shit in here. Well, almost all of it is about war strategy. So much of it is about battlefield stuff. And you go, okay, well, like, where's the history part? And then you start to realize that, okay, World War I was almost primarily about battlefield strategy. Like, that's all it was. And it was like, yeah, there were disagreements that led to it, but then there were all these innovations that happened. And you're like, okay, this got boring in a hurry, but I'm kind of interested now.
See, and that's where I disagree because battle strategy, obviously was a big part of the battles, but it depends on what kind of lens you look at it through, and he's definitely into the actual war parts of it, and that's just not my bag. Like, I don't care about tanks. I don't care. See, it's not something that I'm interested in. I think the geopolitics of everything is more interesting. I think... and
you raise a good point. You say he's into it, and I'm not so sure that he, in fact, is into it. It's just about what World War I was, and it's mostly battlefield strategy that happened.
He's specifically into it because I know people that are quote-unquote World War II buffs that, like, they can tell you all about the...
World War II is what you said.
Yes. I'm aware. I'm trying to make a point. They are really into the military gear. They're into the they can tell you exactly what belongs on a period rifle, down to like the screws that are put in it together, the different tanks and the different planes that were around and all of that stuff.
Those fucking people.
They don't really understand or give a fuck about the human element of all of the things that went into it. It just depends on what your lens and your view of history is and how you approach that topic. And that kind of thing's just not where my interests lie. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's just a different lens and a different way of viewing the same thing.
With the hardcore history thing, that's what's interesting about it to me, is that since each episode is 3.5 hours at least long, there is geopolitics involved. It's just fucking buried in there, and it's so hard to get to what I consider the interesting parts, because it's all buried around strategy and formation and weapons, and
because that's what that guy's interested in,
right? And then geopolitics is like in there, but you have to wait 2 hours to get to it.
And
then it's just, I listened to the whole World War I thing, and I was like, awesome, but like, there's 24 hours I'm never going to get back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But he's also built a fucking career out of that. Like, he was in the new Twilight Zone with the podcast thing.
It's because a lot of, and I don't mean to generalize like this, but a lot of old white guys are really into like that kind of thing. They all kind of see themselves as this Rambo kind of character, and they think all of that stuff is interesting, and that's great. If they've got that interest, that's fine. But that's the same reason you have World War I and II buffs. That's the reason why you've got Civil War reenactors. It's all about like that military history, military might, dudes like weapons kind of thing. It's why, people in my family collect guns. Same thing. Same interest. I get it.
And that's interesting to me for another reason, because I'm not that guy. Like, I don't care about war or weapons or anything like that at all. But there are so many people I know that are exactly what you're talking about. I don't get it either. Yeah. And they're all white guys.
Yeah. I mean, and I hate to say it that way, but it is. It's not white true, ladies though. For most of the time. It's generally older white men. But it's, hey, everybody's got to have a hobby. And that's not mine, so let's move on.
It could be video games and or YouTube clip collections. But look at you. Look at you. You're out here focusing on fucking Lee Enfields from 1941. Asshole. talking to you, to the camera specifically.
Look, I mean, and there's nothing wrong with that being your focus of something if you're really interested in it. Because, I mean, every topic's got a...
There's nothing wrong with it. Right, yeah. We're going to fix it.
No, I mean, every topic has, like, an expert in a certain thing. Like, there's... It's good for, like, historical... Like, I mean, it's cool. I get it. I know way too much about the way textiles were manufactured in the 1780s. You know, like, I mean, I have specific bullshit too.
Yeah. Lately,
so I can't say anything about it.
Can I make a recommendation?
Yeah.
Do a podcast where each episode is 3.5 hours long about the fucking textile industry.
And you know what's crazy?
You could do it, and it would be the boringest fucking thing. The boringest? I'm going to do a grammar podcast as well. The most boring podcast in the world. You know what? I'd probably listen though.
I'm just saying there would 100% be an audience for that, which is what's
I know.
Weird.
I'm into it. Coming soon from Trash Adjacent Productions, Leah's Textile Podcast.
Absolutely not.
It's going to be called Textile Tarantula. I don't know where that name came from.
Nope.
But you know what? We're brainstorming.
I have a major in costume design and a minor in art history, and that is sort of my wheelhouse. It's something that I'm very interested in, and nobody wants to hear about it. I guarantee
you. Just said there's an audience.
Oh, yeah, an audience of nerds that are like me, but I'm not.
Those nerds want to hear it.
No, those nerds already know the information.
But they want to hear you say it because of your relaxing voice. That'll put them to sleep.
And speaking of my relaxing voice, I'm losing it, so... Let's move on to the toast before I hack it again.
You're right. Go ahead.
Okay, everybody hoist your toucan mug full of, well, I've already drank it, but it used to be full of cinnamon tea.
It had tea.
Yeah, hoist your mug, your toucan do it mug, and toast with me. All right. If you've got a junky shed, check it for colonial graffiti. It could have been a house where a dude shot up his sweetie. That one wasn't great. Sorry. Black Caesar sailed the 7 seas and plundered all he wanted. He let his island prisoners die and left the island haunted. Drink.
See, right there, that's where you should have taken creative license. And you should have not made it rhyme and said left his island haunted, because it would have been funnier.
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, that's fair. That's a fair point. But you know what? Save it for your textile podcast.
I'm not starting a textile podcast.
I can't wait. I can't wait for Leah's linens. That's what we're going to call it.
I don't even like linen.
Well,
I have reasons.
Leah's lavender linens. They all smell like lavender as well. That's what we're going to call
lavender?
It. That's the name of the show.
I don't want that.
Well, I hope you like it because that's the name.
No thanks.
All right. Well, I guess this is the end of the show.
Yeah.
It's been 2 weeks. We're a little rusty. What do you want? Except for, something worth listening and or watching. Oh, dogs are barking, so it's time to go. So, let's just say thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you for watching on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Join the Patreon, patreon.com/Southern Spirits Podcast. Send us an email, southernspiritspodcast@gmail.com. Send us a postcard or anything else fun, but travel to Finland first. To P.O. Box 1743 in Hartselle, Alabama, 35640.
So you want all of our mail to come from Finland?
I want every bit of mail to come from Finland because I want it to all come at the same time 2 months from now. Please.
I could see that.
Yeah. Is there anything I forgot?
No, I think that's everything.
All right. Well, we will see y'all next time.
Bye, y'all.